Story 1. I feel like that answer will continue to change as I get older. I am 27, and there was a time when 27 seemed ancient to me. I think 60 is old, but I will probably get there someday and consider old to be 75. Story 2. In my 20s, my niece and nephews asked me about the games I used to play at their age. It felt like Grandpa Simpson sitting by the old lemon tree. Story 3. Having just turned 40, I am feeling old, but I know that when I am 60, if I make it, I'll look back fondly on the mild issues I am experiencing now. Story 4. I am 62 years old and in good health, aside from some high blood pressure that is managed with a prescription. My wife and I exercise regularly, and I have a full head of hair without any gray. Surprisingly, I don't feel old at all. I feel better, knock on wood, than I did in my 40s. Story 5. About to turn 50. I am definitely feeling the physical effects. I'm still very active and eat well. However, the little nagging aches and pains don't seem to go away. Fortunately, no cognitive decline is apparent yet, but would I even notice? Story 6. It's funny you ask because I recently turned 50, and last year, I made a desperate attempt at finding true love one last time before it was too late. I ended up getting involved with multiple scammers. But that's not the point. The point is, 50 is not too late. 40 is. If you're alone and miserable at 40, you make one last effort to find true love. And if you fail, that's it. Game over. You're too old and you feel worthless. It is what it is. Story 7. I will be 64 later this month, and although I don't think I'm old, I remember as a kid thinking I would feel ancient at 38 when the year 2000 arrived. Story 8. I'm in my 50s now. It was sometime after 35 and before 40 that I realized I wasn't young anymore. Suddenly, just standing up and getting out of bed without injury are no longer things I can take for granted. I'm not sure about adopting the term old. However, I think that remains pretty relative for a while longer. Story 9. I don't think I will ever look at or consider myself to be old in any real sense. It's ultimately all a matter of context. I consider myself to be in a constant state of being where I am always shifting, evolving, and growing. You have some individuals in their 20s living as hermits and dealing with various aches and pains for different reasons, while you have individuals in their 60s traveling the world, in the best shape of their lives, living their best lives and exploring new regions, cultures, and environments. Indeed, what is even considered old? I do not believe there is a number attached to that definition. I would argue that it is more so a state of being within a much larger and complex context. Story 10. I believe a significant factor is how early a job can affect your body. I've observed individuals in sales at 70 looking energetic, while others in emergency medical services or military roles at 30 are experiencing constant pain. Story 11. I started working at 18. I have desired to retire ever since. I am 45 now and still working with no end in sight. Story 12. I consider myself old at 26, but I think it's due to circumstances. My family members were either married or had children by the time they were my age. I also struggled with severe depression from ages 15 to 24, so I never really expected to live this long. Story 13. Every day, I remember how good I had it years ago. I am 20, and I miss running around as a child, feeling happy and carefree among the concrete posts. Story 14. I guess this will always fluctuate. When I was 19, I thought 22 was old. When I was 22, I thought 26 was old. Now that I am 28, I think 37 or 40 is old. I feel like it depends on the world you surround yourself with. If I were hanging out with people aged 20 to 25 at 28, I might feel old, but I rarely come into contact with people that age. I am usually surrounded by individuals in their mid to late 20s to mid 30s, so I feel just right. I am also very healthy and active, which plays a big role. Story 15. Your body shows signs of aging when you find it difficult to get out of bed without assistance. That's how I see it. Story 16. The ARP membership notice came 4 years ago. I laughed. This year, I had a total knee replacement. I don't feel old until I walk. Maybe I'll just drive everywhere. Story 17. My left knee hurts after sitting for 37 minutes. Backache is real. I am physically old enough to have children, but mentally not old enough to share my chocolate with my own child. So I really don't know, you see. Story 18. I am in my mid-50s and I do not think of myself as old, unless I am around people in their teens and 20s. Then I feel old. Story 19. This changes a lot for me. I consider 60 old in general, but that is still a young age to die. Even 70. Story 20. I considered myself old when I realized I had a good knee and a bad knee. The same goes for my shoulders. I am 36. Story 21. I am 45 years old. At times, I feel like a scared child who does not want the responsibilities I have, and I worry about how I will manage them. There are moments when I feel much like I did in my 20s, enjoying time with friends who are that age. Occasionally, I observe individuals in their 20s and 30s and think they are misguided and inexperienced. Sometimes I find myself in an uncomfortable chair, affecting my ability to walk normally for the next month. In essence, I often feel both young and old, sometimes within the same hour. Story 22. My friend Cassandra has a disability that requires her to use a cane and a wheelchair. She becomes very tired after walking just 20 feet without a mobility aid. She often feels old because everything is so exhausting for her. In contrast, my grandfather is in his 80s and still plays tennis and goes on long hikes. He claims he doesn't feel old, he just feels a bit slower. This suggests that the perception of age depends on one's health. If you have a condition that severely affects your quality of life, you may be more ready to die than someone who has mobility and good health. Story 23. You know you're getting older when parts of your body stop functioning properly. This began to happen at 55, specifically my libido noticeably decreased. Story 24. I first started joking about it when I could refer to things as 20 or 25 years ago that definitely do not feel like that long. First, it was starting kindergarten, then it was Super Mario World is 25 years old, then it was college, and now it's memories from the mid-2000s. Then my friends and I started joking about understanding the parents' perspective in Disney movies while their kids, just like us once upon a time, agreed with the kids in those movies. I'm madly in love with Prince Eric. No, you're not. You're infatuated and obsessed to the point of being creepy. For goodness sake, you have a shrine to a guy you've never met and only lurked on like a stalker. Story 25. I don't feel old at 61, but people perceive me as old. I will consider myself old when I become physically dependent on others, and then I will figure out when and how to move to the next level. Story 26. I might be a bit of an outlier here. I think 25 is quite old, and I'm almost 30. Why do I consider 25 old? Because that was the age my friends and I aimed to reach, and I'm the only one who did. Every year past 22, I feel ancient and take pride in continuing to reach older ages. Story 27. I am 43. My aunt is 11 years older than I. I teased her a lot when she turned 35, saying she was old, but as I got closer to 35, it felt less old. 40 seemed like a milestone that signified being old. Interestingly, as I passed that age, my body agreed with my younger self. 40 felt old. Recovery from a bad night's sleep took longer, and aches and pains started to appear just from being awake. I even had to change my phone's font size from the smallest available to the second smallest. Story 28. An older person here. Your perception of how young or old you are is closely linked to your physical condition. If you are healthy, you can still feel young regardless of your age, but as soon as you experience any health issues, you will start to feel your age. Story 29. I am 50 years old, and last Thursday I partied hard like I was in my 20s. It took me 3 days to recover, and that was the moment I felt old. Story 30. For me, that happened at 25 when both knees started making sounds like bubble wrap as I used the stairs, and I would experience random stabbing pain. Story 31. At least for me, my body is starting to show signs of wear. I'm gradually struggling with tasks that were previously easy, and I'm aware that my body isn't going to recover as it once did. I'm not in bad shape. I eat well, I exercise, and I look good. I'm just not in young shape anymore, and that is the difference for me. Story 32. Feeling old at 40. but I hope to live until I am 80 to see my 3 and 7-year-old children reach an age where they will actually remember I existed. The thought that I am likely halfway through my life, if not more, terrifies me a bit. Story 33. When your knees click as you bend down to pick up your shoes, and you don't want to stand up again and have them automatically reload. Story 34. I'm 30 and never thought I would survive to this age for health reasons. Getting here has been quite a journey. I see myself as young in the adult world, but old in the sense that I've lived longer than I expected. I recently spoke to a few friends about how this age has made me realize that my life is really just beginning. I spent my 20s stressing over many little things, spending my money on frivolous items, and overall being more self-centered. I don't mean that in a conceited way, just in the sense that my world was limited to me and my inner circle. I hit 30 and saw my nieces growing up, my parents getting older, and my relationship blossoming into exactly what I needed. I feel like my life is gently falling into place because I have a stable income, a solid romantic relationship, healthy friendships, and there is still so much more to come. You're old when you feel it, not based on a number, and it can change and evolve as you do. Story 35. I am 47. I don't think of myself as old because I don't feel old. Yes, my joints are stiffer than they used to be, but I am in much better physical shape than when I was in my teens, 20s, and 30s. I believe I will probably feel old when I can no longer run, ride my bike, or walk without assistance. Story 36. It is hard for me to see myself as anything but youthful in the mirror. I guess for me, the wake-up call is seeing pictures of people my age and thinking they look old. I am 35. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.